Have you ever felt someone that you're dating just slowly pull back without saying anything? No clear ending, no obvious problem. You think you might break up, but then you don't. Just less effort, less emotional presence. We've started calling this quiet quitting in dating. When someone emotionally leaves the building without ever actually ending anything or talking about it. And if you've been on the receiving end of this, it can feel incredibly confusing because nothing is technically wrong, but nothing is really moving forward in the way you feel it should be. You know, they could be still texting, they're still engaging, they're still around. You still be could going out on some really great dates, have great physical chemistry, but in general, you're just left wondering whether you're supposed to wait or adjust or take a hint. Hi, I'm Kristen, and I really love to explore relationships, emotional patterns, and what lies beneath the surface of connection. So come sit by me, let's talk. This video is about making sense of something that often just goes unnamed. It shows up a lot in dating in those early romantic connections, when we're first meeting someone, getting to know them, when something seems to be forming, but it just never really lands. I've noticed when quiet quitting shows up in dating, it usually looks like slow emotional disengagement before a relationship has really been defined, before we have, the talk. So there's no dramatic breakup, but there was never an officially clear ending. It's just a gradual reduction in their effort, their presence, their availability. I have work, I'm too tired, I have family, I have to go out with friends, whatever. The person stays in contact, but they just don't move forward in the relationship. They don't disappear, but they don't arrive. And it can look like, consistent communication without real dates or progression, emotional openness without repair when something feels off. Chemistry, can still be having great sex, some fantastic dates, but there's no direction. It's just sort of flopping around. And because it still feels relational, it can be deeply confusing, especially if you're waiting for someone to land. If it feels like in your body that this should be landing into something, that this is something that you want to, with curiosity, begin to explore, clearly defining a little bit more with the other person. But perhaps any attempts to define or bring that definition in is met with this pullback or this disengagement. And even if the conversation happens, it just never leads anywhere. Why are they doing this? Well, for them, it's a protective move. In dating, this happens a lot when someone senses expectations forming before they know whether they want to meet them. And their nervous system registers things like, I don't know what I want yet. I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't know if I have the capacity for this conversation. So the distance becomes a way for them to regulate. And, we do it too sometimes. In those moments, avoidance is not manipulative. It's the nervous system trying to stay safe. But avoidance can also harden into something else. So instead of just naming it, coming out with it, saying what's in the room, I don't want to do this anymore, or something has shifted for me, or I can't meet you where you are, you want a kind of relationship that I don't want a commitment, whatever. I just broke up with someone before you. The connection just slowly begins to erode, which can be very painful. And emotional effort just disintegrates, plans stop happening, communications get less and less, sometimes not responded to. And over time, the responsibility to end things gets transferred on to you or to the other person. And, that's when it really becomes on their part, this quiet quitting, because they just did all of these actions and behaviors to make you not want to be in a relationship with them. They kind of give you no choice. And then you're the one that has to take up, the emotional labor, or has to be the one to, you know, you know, cause something more emotional or dramatic, and have to deal with actually how they might respond to you, asking for a breakup or asking for time apart. Because even though it's what they want, we'd be shocked sometimes about what actually happens when the person who's quietly quitting gets broken up with. In dating, these behaviors and this ambiguity can be very destabilizing because there's no shared container yet. There are no agreements. There's no mutual language. There's no timeline. There's lack of clarity. And the nervous system gets stuck in suspension, waiting, wondering, trying to interpret the mixed signals. When there's no clarity, the body keeps scanning for it, which can be very activating, stressful. Over time, that erodes trust, not just in the other person, but in yourself. You start questioning yourself, whether you're asking for too much, misreading things, or do I simply just need to be more patient? Sometimes it's like, was I wrong about this to begin with? Am I seeing something that they don't and never did? If you're finding yourself in this dynamic, stop, take a deep breath, connect to your heart, stop overthinking, get out of your mind about it, and ask yourself just these simple questions. Is the interest paired with consistency? Is there movement, not just engagement? Do I feel settled or suspended? Am I being invited into clarity or into waiting? Because quiet quitting isn't always intentional, but there can be an emotional cost. And the only thing that you need to do is begin to recognize these patterns early on within yourself. Are you feeling anxious? Is there something just not right in your body? Do you blame yourself for not being patient enough, not being cool enough? Just stop doing all of that and trust that you are worthy of exactly what you are looking for. And so is the other person. And if those things aren't in alignment right now, it's best to acknowledge early on and, start backing off yourself before it does become something more emotionally laborious that you have to take care of. Thank you so much for being here and exploring with me today on quiet quitting in dating. I think it's fascinating. And if you'd like to go a little bit deeper, I host live journaling sessions where we journal on some of these topics that I'm going through every single week, and we can begin to integrate and tap into your own inner knowing and your own insight, and attune more to the wisdom of the body, the wisdom of the heart, and just come together in community and support each other and be each other's quiet company in the evening or in the middle of the day. So don't forget to subscribe if you want to know whenever those happen. And if you want to hang out with me more, I would absolutely love it. And don't forget to get me a thumbs up, please, please, please. If you enjoyed and found the video supportive, it would mean the world to me, as would any comments that you have. And seriously, any comments that you have in the comments below. Disagree with me. Give me your opinion. Let's get a conversation. Let's have real conversation around what is activating us in our relationships and in the field of dating. All right. Bye.